whatever I have to do to get 8 reps, I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Live or die.
Exactly. And it's hard. Like when you're trying to teach that, you know, to somebody that doesn't have that muscle control. Sure. Is that the word I'm looking for?
Ego control?
Well, not ego control so much. It's just they don't know how to flex. They don't know how a muscle feels to contract.
Yes. Yes.
You know,
can't tell where the tension is coming.
Yeah. So then we're trying to teach them to let that tension stay on the tricep.
Sure.
And it's a tough one, right? Sure. Because you can time it, you know,
sure,
tempo away, but sure, that's where, you know, RPE, reps and reserve, that's where all those things kind of get a little confusing. Sure. Because they'll see, you know, hey, I want you to be, you know, 4 reps shy of failure or 2 reps shy of failure. But they end up doing 3 good reps and they do some fast reps and they could end up doing 15 total reps instead of the 8, instead of that whole, how do you teach people and help them to mentally wrap their head around that?
I'm glad you asked. I have a very distinct answer.
Yes.
I think there's a hierarchy to this, and I think it's a 3-step hierarchy. At the bottom of the hierarchy is for beginners or people new to any movement, but especially beginners to training. And the number one thing we want out of those people is to be able to demonstrate good external technique. Like if you are doing a squat, I expect you to hit depth, and I expect you to stand up. I expect your force to be spread evenly between your heels and your toes. And I expect for the bar to stay rigid on your back, and I expect your back to stay like this instead of be like all around. Yeah. And if you can do that, I don't give a fuck if you feel it in your glutes or your quads or where. I don't care how you feel about shit. I need good reps. Like, you know, like videos of weightlifting halls, like the World Weightlifting Championships. You look at it and you're like, how the fuck is everybody in there has got perfect technique? I want that.
Yeah, yeah.
So for probably 2 years, all I care about is good technique. And the way I decide with athletes, should you put more weight on the bar, is show me a set of whatever reps you were going to do. And if every rep is very good technique, then you can go up and weight. Okay. And if you fuddle, next week we do the same weight because you're not ready for the shit. So technique first. After they demonstrate that they understand what good technique is, and I'm going to say something else here that's important. In their fucking soul, they are dedicated to every set being good technique. I'm trying to come from a place with athletes where you should be more ashamed about doing bad technique than you should be ashamed about not being strong enough, whatever the fuck that means at the time. And this is probably true for folks like, I'm not going to speak about to you, but you can tell me if this is true for you. I've been around the block. I've been around lifting a while. I like think of myself as someone who knows things. When I come into a gym and I see someone doing a perfect technique, anything, I'm 10 times more likely to come up and talk to them and be like, dude, you're the fucking shit. That was awesome. Than some fucking strong fucking retard who's like 8 vials of tren in his eyes and he's benching 4 or 5 for reps. Oh, slow clap. I got 8 guys from New Jersey that did that too, and 4 of them are already dead. You can be number 5. Yeah. So it's first technique. Once you have a base of technique, the second thing is you teach them how to go hard. And by hard, I mean something very specific. How to grind reps while always maintaining good technique. Anybody can grind reps. If you're like, just do whatever, they're like, it's everywhere. But if you can first get good technique, that first year or 2 of learning good technique, it is almost that the lifting seems so unanimated. It's like the difference between going to the WPO championships back in the day and going to a weightlifting meet back in the day. Weightlifting, you got your butler there, it's a golf clap, everything quiet, everyone's got perfect technique, and this is boring as fuck. But after that boredom, then you grind these motherfuckers and you say, okay, now that you know what good technique is, and now that in your fucking soul, it's your pride to get every rep with good technique, no matter what, I'm going to offer you another challenge. Now we're going to take you closer and closer to failure, to muscular failure, to where you can't do it often. And what I want you to do is we're Icarusing your dumb ass into the sun. And I want you, as Icarus, the dragon or whatever the fuck, as you get close to the sun, even though your feathers are burning off, I'm going to fucking fly into the sun with the same fucking cadence as always, if there is no fucking sun. You give me that person, after a couple of years, they know what 2 things. Really good technique and how to fucking push hard without it failing. As far as powerlifting, I'm already done with that motherfucker. They're in, they're ready for whatever kind of powerlifting training they're going to do. Yeah. There's a third level that helps with some powerlifting assistance work like you were getting at, and it helps with bodybuilding, and that's the mind-muscle connection. Now that you know good technique, now that you know how to push hard, I want you to start connecting with your muscles and asking yourself the question of, what am I pushing hard with? Is it my chest? Is it my triceps? If instead of doing my skull crushers like this, if I go like this, does that make the tension higher in my triceps versus my pecs? Then as officially an advanced lifter, you can start feeling that out. But to your question of like, if you have a person who doesn't really know much, how do you get them to feel that their biceps are working? Dave, I don't have an answer for that shit.
Yeah.
I think that's 3 questions away from where we should be.
Good. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like trying to make someone, you know, like, hey, how do I pick up? This is the pickup girls thing is getting crazy. But fuck, I'll use it. How do I pick up girls in Spain? How much Spanish do you know? I don't know any Spanish. Well, guess what, motherfucker? You got to learn Spanish words first. Then you got to learn Spanish sentences. Then you're going to learn how to talk in Spanish. And then we're going to teach you that you're 4 steps ahead of yourself. So if you want to learn how to fucking use individual muscles and am I really active with my biceps? First, you have to get good technique. Second, you need to know what it fucking means to grind with good technique. Third, on your way to grinding with good technique and experimenting, you're going to start to notice you feel different parts of your body. And then when someone says, hey, do this chest press machine, but now try to get it to be more of your pecs, that starts to make sense for the first time ever. Because if you tell someone with no technique base and no hard training base, hey, do a set of 8, RPE 8 or RIR 2, and I want you to really hit your pecs. Oh my God, bro, you just dropped 4 completely alien, non-mixable things into one brain. Who the fuck knows what they're going to come up with after that? And at that point, I think most people just settle into like, what's my social environment? Are there other big guys around? Do I have someone that's working with me? I'll just do 1 more rep than they will. And I'll yell enough to where guys think I'm tough and I'll feel something in my chest. Well, I'm much more of a fundamentalist in that regard. Good technique first. Then you teach someone with good technique that's been training pretty hard to really push it while still reserving their technique. After that's done, then you teach them all that advanced fancy shit. And there's a bit of an apprenticeship element to it that, you do have to train for months and months and years to be able to earn the right to come up to a leg extension machine and do Tom Platz squeeze reps. You don't know what the fuck those are. Don't bother about doing them. Just go up and down in the squat rack until you're really good at that. Then go up and down in the squat rack until you're almost failing, but your technique never, like I want to see someone fail a squat, just come up and go, nope, that's it. None of this, none of that. Then you're ready for that next level shit.
Would you say that that third level is critical for somebody to develop hypertrophy at their own highest level?
Yes.
Okay.
Because if I'm doing hack squats and I know how to do them with a generally good technique and I know how to go hard, I'm getting 90% of the muscle growth I'll ever get out of hack squats. But if I don't really know what it feels like to have my quads be the thing that's really active versus my glutes, then I might be standing with my feet too far ahead of the squat, of the hack squat. My numbers are great, but the amount of quad stimulus I'm getting relative to the amount of weight on the bar, the amount of spine crushing that happens, the amount of systemic fatigue just from fucking trying hard, that fatigue, the stimulus isn't high enough and the fatigue is too high. So if I now go, okay, I'm going to do this exercise, still with good technique, still hard, but I'm going to try to, especially in my warm-ups, feel which foot stance really allows me to really feel like my quads are getting pulled off from the bone. And it's different for everyone. Everyone has a different build. Once you learn that mind-muscle connection, you can use it as like a canary in the coal mine to see, hey, how's this affecting the muscles I want? And then you may be able to whittle into a hack squat stance, which you actually use 50 pounds less than you did before. But every single rep is like quad annihilation. It feels incredible on your back. There's barely any fatigue. Oh, now you've got that figured. If you just know generally good technique and you just generally know how to push hard, I'm not really sure if you're feeling it a ton in the quads. And that's a trippy thing for intermediate lifters, or sometimes you get a guy who's like really good at the lift generally and you throw him into a hack squat and it looks to you like it's good and you're motivating them and they're going hard and hard and hard and they bleed out of their fucking eyes and you have to peel them out of the machine. And you sometimes ask them prematurely, like, how did you feel that in your quads? And they're like, dude, I don't know, man. I felt it in my soul. Like I felt it everywhere. And that's a very good answer. That means you're working really hard. But a better, more advanced answer would be, I need to put my feet back a half inch because I felt it too much in my glutes and not enough in my quads. So once you have mind-muscle connection, absolutely you can develop your physique to the maximum, because every exercise you try and every variation of exercise you try, wide grip, close grip, etc., you can within a couple of reps, a couple of sets, settle into a technique that's personalized for you to get the most stimulus to the muscle possible with the least fatigue that you have to pay.
Do you think this is why some people don't grasp training to failure the way other people do, right? So with what you're saying as an example, I believe I know exactly what you're talking about, right? So if you're going to do a set and you're going to take that to failure and you're doing it the way that you're speaking about doing it, that rep speed may not actually slow as much as people would think it's going to slow throughout the set. So you're not going to see this decrease in rep speed the same as you would if somebody's just, let's just say, muscle fucking a set up,
Yes,
right?
I like that term.
Right? Because the accumulated fatigue from that set, from the contraction, from the staying tight, it's going to be different. Sure. Where you're at that top of that hack squat per se. And you can think, you know, if I just drop down and just jam up, maybe I can get 3 more. But if you kept that same tempo, you know, or that same contraction, that same tension, right? Yes. You're not going to get another one, right? So that set, essentially, if it's to failure, would be over. Yes. But some others would look at that and say, well, hell no, that set never slowed down, you know, so it wasn't to failure.
100%.
Okay.
In addition to that, I think the failure stuff, people forget that they assume that failure training, there's a drop off in velocity. Mm-hmm. The underlying assumption very few people state is that you're going for maximum velocity on every rep to begin with. And the only reason you slow down is you just can't go as fast. I don't know about you, man, but most bodybuilders are not trying to maximum concentric velocity.
No.
You're not taking a dumbbell press and being like, all right, it's down here. Ready, fellas?
No.
Like what? I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
Like from rep 1, I'm intentionally going a little, sometimes a lot slower than I need to in order to feel the muscle, make sure the technique is really good, set up the eccentric. If I come up super fast in the concentric, I'm all wobbly and the eccentric sucks. Come up nice and smooth, slow, and then come back in smooth, and then over and over. And at some point, I start to get tired in the muscles. But I maintain that cadence because that's the cadence that allows me to target the muscle best and get the best technique. It's the repeatable rep.
Yeah.
Every rep the same. And at some point, the external velocity is identical, but the internal fraction of my muscles I'm turning on to keep that velocity up is higher and higher. And every rep is the same speed-wise, looking at from the outside. Yeah. From the inside, I'm like, oh my fucking God, it's hard to keep up the speed. So then I might rack and someone's like, dude, you never even slowed down. Like inside the muscle, I depleted the entire time. But because I capped my velocity concentrically at the beginning, all you saw was the tiny little bit of a slowdown. But I promise, if I tried to do another rep, it's just not there.
Yes.